Hey everyone, and welcome back to Wealth Chronicle. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful and misunderstood institutions in the world, the Federal Reserve. You hear the name and think government, right? Federal Bureau of Investigation, Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Reserve. It sounds official, governmental, and American. But what if I told you that's the biggest lie of all? Most people assume the Fed is part of the U.S. government, but it's not. It was created in 1913, and the truth is, it's a privately owned banking cartel with its own agenda. For over a century, this institution has controlled America's money supply, and the vast majority of us have no idea who truly pulls the strings. So, who really owns the Federal Reserve? Stick with me, because the truth they've tried to hide is absolutely shocking. To understand the Fed, we have to go back to a secret meeting in 1910 on a private island off the coast of Georgia, Jekyll Island. 6 men, representing about a quarter of the entire world's wealth at the time, gathered under the guise of a duck hunting trip. These weren't just any 6 men. They were representatives from the most powerful banking dynasties on earth, the Morgans, the Rockefellers, and even the Rothschilds. Their mission? To draft a new central banking system for the United States, one that would benefit them. In just 9 days, secluded from the public and the press, they hammered out the core of what would become the Federal Reserve Act. This wasn't a government initiative. It was a plan hatched in secret by the world's most powerful bankers to control the nation's money. So how is this private entity structured? The Federal Reserve System is made up of 12 regional Federal Reserve banks scattered across the country. And here's the kicker. These regional banks are not owned by the government. They are owned by the private commercial banks in their respective districts. These member banks are the shareholders. They even get a guaranteed 6% annual dividend on their shares, paid for by the Fed's operations. For decades, the names of the largest shareholders were a closely guarded secret. It is only through persistent research and leaks that we've begun to understand which major banks hold the most power. Think about that. A private corporation with secret shareholders controlling the economic destiny of an entire nation. Now, let's talk about the money creation scam, because this is where it gets truly mind-bending. How does the Fed create money? It doesn't print it in a basement. It literally creates it out of thin air with a few keystrokes on a computer. When the U.S. government needs money it doesn't have, which is all the time, it issues bonds, which are basically IOUs. The Fed then buys these bonds by creating brand new digital dollars. So, the Fed creates money from nothing, loans it to the government, and then charges the government interest on that loan. And who pays that interest? You do, the American taxpayer. This creates a perpetual cycle of debt. The more the government borrows, the more it owes in interest, the more it has to tax you to pay for it. The system isn't broken. It was designed this way from the very beginning. With this much power, you'd expect intense oversight, right? Wrong. In its entire 110-plus-year history, the Federal Reserve has never undergone a full, comprehensive audit. Think about that. Every other government agency is subject to audits. Your small business can be audited. You can be audited. But the institution that controls the entire U.S. dollar has remained a black box. Over the years, brave politicians have introduced Audit the Fed bills, but they always fail to pass. It makes you wonder, what are they so desperate to hide? If everything was above board, why fight transparency so hard? The lack of a real audit is perhaps the biggest red flag of all. So, if the taxpayers are the ones footing the bill, who's actually getting rich from the system? The primary beneficiaries are a small group of massive financial institutions known as primary dealer banks. We're talking about the giants: Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, Citibank. These are the banks that get to transact directly with the Fed. When the Fed creates new money, these banks get it first. This is called the Cantillon effect. When you're first in line for new money, you get to spend it before it circulates through the economy and causes prices to rise. So, these banks and their well-connected clients can buy up assets like stocks and real estate at the old, lower prices. By the time that new money trickles down to the average person in the form of wages, prices have already gone up. This system is a massive hidden wealth transfer mechanism, siphoning purchasing power from the middle class and the poor directly to the financial elite. Much of this information was brought to light by the incredible research of G. Edward Griffin in his book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. He meticulously documented how the Fed was created to serve the interests of a powerful banking cartel, not the American people. He exposed it as a system of self-regulation, which is really no regulation at all. The fox isn't just guarding the henhouse. The fox designed the henhouse, owns the henhouse, and writes the rules for the henhouse. It's a brilliant scheme, and it's been running in plain sight for over a century. The implications of this system are not just historical curiosities. They affect your life every single day. Remember the 2008 financial crisis? The official story was too big to fail, but a limited audit later revealed the Fed had funneled over $16 trillion in secret loans to banks all over the world. $16 trillion. That's more than the entire U.S. GDP at the time. Then, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Fed created another $4 trillion plus out of thin air to stimulate the economy. But where did that money really go? Did it go into your pocket? Or did it go to prop up financial markets and make the already rich even richer? The answer is obvious when you look at the explosion in asset prices versus the struggles of everyday people. And this brings us to the most insidious part of the whole system, inflation. The Federal Reserve openly targets 2% inflation per year. They sell this as a good thing, a sign of a healthy economy. But what is inflation really? It's a hidden tax. Every single dollar the Fed creates devalues every other dollar in existence, including the ones in your bank account and your wallet. It's a silent theft of your purchasing power. A 2% inflation target doesn't sound like much, but over time, it's devastating. It means your money loses half of its value every 36 years. This isn't an accident. This is by design. It forces you to either spend your money or risk it in the markets the bankers control just to keep pace. Saving money in a bank account becomes a guaranteed losing strategy. So, after all this, the big question is, what can we do? It can feel overwhelming, like we're up against an unbeatable giant. The first and most important step is exactly what you're redoing right now, understanding how the system actually works. Knowledge is power. Share this information with your friends and family. The more people who wake up to this reality, the harder it will be for them to maintain the status quo. Second, focus on protecting your own purchasing power. If the currency is designed to lose value, don't hold all of your wealth in that currency. Learn about assets that tend to hold their value over time, like real estate, precious metals, or even certain digital assets. Diversify your wealth out of their system. And finally, we must demand transparency. We must continue to support efforts to conduct a full, independent audit of the Federal Reserve. We have a right to know who owns it, who profits from it, and what they're doing with the power to create our money. It's our country, it's our money, and it's time we took back control. Thanks for watching. If you found this video valuable, please hit that like button, subscribe to Wealth Chronicle, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.